before any official information surfaced. Something different began to circulate quietly around St. James Park. It wasn't a clear rumor, nor a concrete clue, but rather that almost invisible feeling that appears when something big is about to happen. Half-finished conversations, suspicious looks, small movements from the board that seem normal at first glance but, when observed more closely, reveal a sense of preparation. Supporters passing by the stadium say they can feel something in the air, something not yet spoken, but getting closer to being revealed. It's the kind of moment where expectation grows on its own, even if no one knows exactly why. And as this mysterious atmosphere takes over behind the scenes, many fans are beginning to notice that Newcastle aren't just monitoring the market as usual. There's a tone of urgency, of heightened attention, as if the board were on the verge of making a move. And if you're new here on the channel, this is the perfect time to subscribe, because the next few weeks promise to be busy and you won't want to miss any detail of the moves that could shape the future of our club. This is where you always get everything clearly, quickly and reliably. And with this silent activity growing, analysts have begun spotting something even more intriguing. Although many names have been linked with Newcastle in recent days, there is a clear pattern in the board's choices. It's not enough to sign just another player, nor is it about simply finding someone young or someone who is shown in another league. Newcastle wants something bigger. They want someone who can grow within the club, someone who can become fundamental for years to come, or even a talent who, in a short time, might generate huge profit if the club ever decides to sell. This kind of profile has become increasingly sought after, and it is no coincidence. We are talking about a strategy that has already worked for other European clubs, and now it appears to be reaching Tyneside in full force. And the more this search for a young, promising player intensifies, the more doubts arise among supporters. After all, who would be the ideal name for this new project? Someone already known in Europe, a hidden gem in a lesser-known league, or perhaps a player who has been closely watched for months by our scouting team. In recent days, several possibilities have surfaced, from Kevin Danois of Auxerre to Keys Smith of AZ to Keys Smith of AZ Alkmaar, names that please for their youth and potential. However, none of them seems to carry the same weight as the name that has quietly begun to gain strength behind the scenes. And it is precisely here that our story begins to shift direction, because what was recently discovered places Newcastle in a very promising position in the market. According to the Brazilian outlet portal Dupla, Leicester and Newcastle are preparing to submit an official bid for Alan Elias, one of Palmeiras' biggest revelations and considered one of the most promising young players to emerge in Brazilian football in recent years. This information, which started as a discreet rumor, quickly gained momentum and is now being treated as a concrete step from the board to secure a gem capable of transforming the team's creative sector in the coming years. The source is highly respected in Brazil, which increases confidence that the club truly are moving to bring this player in. Alan Elias, just 21 years old, has been described by many analysts as Palmeiras' next big name, and for good reason. His playing style, his maturity on the ball and his ability to create chances make him one of the most watched talents by European clubs today. And despite having a release clause of €100 million, Palmeiras would reportedly be willing to negotiate for around €32 million, roughly £28 million, especially after the blockbuster sales of Enrique to Real Madrid and Estevao to Chelsea. In other words, the timing is perfect to make a move. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the moment, because this story certainly won't end here. And that's not all. Newcastle have been strengthening their South American scouting presence with careful planning. Steve Nixon, responsible for expanding the club's scouting portfolio on the continent, has been monitoring young talents for years, and now works alongside Thomas Federspiel, recently signed from Nottingham Forest, to act as a global scout in Brazil, Ecuador and Colombia. This move makes it clear that Newcastle's interest in South America is no temporary curiosity, it's strategy. And Alan Elias fits this profile perfectly. But naturally, any significant signing also has an internal impact. Today, Newcastle's midfield is in a strong moment, with Bruno Guimaraes arguably the best player in the Premier League outside Manchester City and Arsenal, Sandro Tonali returning in great form, and Lewis Miley surprising everyone with his maturity and quality at such a young age. However, Eddie Howe knows difficult decisions lie ahead. Joelinton, beloved by supporters and tactically crucial, has begun to show signs of physical wear, something natural with time. A long-term replacement will be inevitable. There are also the cases of Joe Willock and Jacob Ramsey. Although both still possess great quality, their chances of becoming guaranteed starters are not as high as before, especially if reinforcements of this caliber truly arrive. And if Newcastle push forward with the signing of Alan Elias or other names such as Smith, it is likely that at least one player will need to leave in January to balance the squad and finances. Willock is currently one of the main candidates, largely due to interest from Crystal Palace. It's a complex situation, but also one full of opportunity. We are witnessing a Newcastle that is active, alert, and ready to take important steps towards the future. And Alan Elias could indeed be the missing piece to begin an even deeper rebuild in midfield. Everything will depend on the coming weeks, which is why it's essential that you continue following the channel. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any important updates. The transfer window is approaching, and with it, the real possibility of seeing Newcastle make one of the most ambitious moves of the season.